Roundhouse behind me here is Bay 18. When they bring their locomotive in, they're going to bring the locomotive in nose first. Also, just as a quick note, since we're standing here, you'll see in our roundhouse today, we have various types of engines and rolling stock. The roundhouse was only for maintenance of steam locomotives. There would have been shops for rolling stock maintenance here in Scranton, Pennsylvania for the Delaware Lackawanna Western Railroad. That would have been over the hill, going this way to the Kaiser Valley, where we would have had works to work on cars, such as this caboose that was built here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The roundhouse would have also only been for the railroad that was owned by. So today you will see a nickel plate locomotive, a locomotive from the Canadian National and Canadian Pacific Railroad. That would not have historically been here. This would have been only for Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western locomotives. So, once they bring it in, as I mentioned, nose first, they will pull the engine that you can see at the very end of our roundhouse here, what is called the smoke jack coming down from the ceiling, so that way they can vent some of the smoke coming out. Because while we're working on these engines, we are not turning them off. We are keeping the fire lit and the boiler up to pressure. Why? Well, it takes a long time to bring a steam locomotive up to pressure, especially when you're working with over 270 to 320 pounds of pressure. And time is money. A railroad is a business, am I right? Yes. The longer a locomotive is in here, the longer it's not out on the line making money. So typically, they're only going to spend about 30 minutes to an hour in here. If you are even close to an hour, the foreman's going to walk through here, start tapping his watch and asking why you are incompetent and can't do your job right. Now, my question to you becomes, why pull a locomotive in nose first up where that headlight is instead of bringing it back in with the tender here going in? And I know you know. Any guesses at all?
It's already set up on the track for that upper type of movement? No, I don't know what I'm
Not
saying.
exactly, no.
Steam. Does it have to do anything with lighting?
Not with lighting.
Steam.
You got an idea? What about steam?
I think there's an exhaust over there for the steam.
Okay, so why can't we put the smoke jack right here?
While there's coming in, I don't know. Yeah, if you can close it together, is it further apart out that way?
You got it. So what she just said was that the tracks are farther apart. Think about the roundhouse as a big piece of cake or pie, whatever you prefer. Now cut a piece out of that cake or pie and tell me, what piece of that cake or what slice or part of that slice is larger? The slice that was closer to the center or the part of it that was on the outer rim?
Outer rim.
Outer rim. So the closer you are to the center of that turntable, the less space there is between the tracks. The farther out you go, however, the more space there is. That way, we want to work on the engine. That's the business end. So if we bring it in all the way closest to that back wall, there's more space between those tracks.
Yeah.
That way, when John picks up a wrench and swings it around, he's not going to hit Tommy in the back of the head.
Right.
So we bring our locomotives in forward. A crew of 5 to 10 men will go around the locomotive. They'll check the linkages. They'll check the wheels. They'll check everything on the sides, making sure it's well lubricated. You'll have crews of men who will go underneath the locomotives, checking the brakes and axles. You'll have crews that will go over the engine, checking the accessories, the smokestack, the bell, the whistle, all the bells and whistles. In addition,
Was that dirty work?
it was very dirty work. This would have been a very loud environment, would have been very smoky. It was dark. It was miserable. It was loud. But do you know what it wasn't?
Well,
It wasn't working in the mines. At least here every day, you got to see the sunlight and got some fresh air for what fresh air you could get in the roundhouse. In addition to these men who were working in here, we also had boys starting as young as the age of 8. Oftentimes, they were brought into work by dad, uncle, maybe their grandpa if he was around. Usually, they would start out by helping clean up the roundhouse, cleaning oil spills, handing tools. As they get a little bit older, we're going to teach them how to do some of the trade work. That is how to look at certain things, how to do some oiling. But in particular, why we want these young lads is for their hearing.
Yeah.
I am pushing 30. If I started here at the age of 8, by my current age, my hearing would be gone. You have to remember, this is 46 bays of locomotives all on at the same time making noise. My hearing would be horrible. But what I'm going to use them for is I'm going to give them a ball peen hammer, and I'm going to instruct them to tap on certain pieces of metal for me. This is to look for cracks and breaks. We don't want that in our metal, because if that crack gets big, it's going to cause a disaster. In particular, where we want them to tap is up on that boiler. There is a very, very, very thin line between a steam locomotive and a pipe bomb. If there is a small crack, it could cause that boiler to blow out, which is not good for anybody. It's not good for the train crew, not good for passengers, not good for anybody living along those tracks. So the boys are actually doing a big service for us in providing safety. If they hear something that doesn't sound right, by the way, a piece of metal that is broken or cracked will sound dull or have a thump to it, as where a solid piece of metal will do what we call ringing true, at least carry somewhat of a tone. They'll alert the men in the shop. We can then take a fine white powder and we can put it on that metal, see if we can find a hairline fracture. Mind you, this is only about 70% accurate. It's the best technology we have.
Yeah.
So they'll go through their checklist. Everything looks good. Engine goes back out into the turntable, spins around, out to the yard goes to get its next train. If it needs more maintenance, something doesn't look right, or it's just time for an inspection, just like how your cars need inspections today, that is where the fun begins. We take it out into the yard, we drop the coals and ash into a pit of water, and we use what steam is left to bring it into the back shops. So our next tour is going to be stepping behind our roundhouse into the